So we looked at the manga that we read and thought about how are the characters growing in these stories? What is impacting and supporting their growth? And then how does it help the reader to also grow? So it was a really nice way for students to see stories, reflect on stories, and think about their personal experiences, because manga shouldn't just be read in isolation. I think students should have the opportunity to discuss what they're reading and reflect and think about what they're reading.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 5 of the Future Ready Librarian podcast series, Leading from the Library. This is a podcast for all librarians, wherever you are in your journey. It is filled with amazing guests, important topics, and engaging conversations that will inspire, engage, and support all of us as future-ready librarians. I am your host, Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa, and I serve as the Future Ready Librarian spokesperson. I have the pleasure of working within my library and school community and also with others around the country and world through Future Ready Librarian events, conferences, consulting, writing, and more. I am honored to bring these voices and the work of others to our podcast and to all of you. And today, I'm very excited to welcome a new guest to our show and somebody that I admire, that I follow online and follow her work. And I know that you guys will all love also talking to Jillian today. And I'm just going to start by having you introduce yourself.
Thanks for inviting me, Shannon.
Welcome.
So I'm Jillian Rudes. I'm a school librarian in New York City. I serve a population of students from grades 6 through 12. And I think I checked today, this is my 13th year as a school librarian. So yay.
Well, that's awesome. I know. And as we were getting ready for the conversation today, we were just talking about New York City and the connections that we have. And I've been there a lot and worked with people. And one question I think that always pops up, because I'm from a school of about 1,000 kids, preschool to 12th grade, in the middle of cornfields in Iowa. And so completely different from where you are in New York City. I'm a little bit envious because I love New York City. But what is it like being a New York City school librarian?
I also have 1,000 students, but only 6th through 12th grade. So I don't know how you do K through 12. That's actually really impressive. I love being a New York City school librarian. I actually work in one of the most culturally diverse schools in the city. So just having students from every background really makes building the collection super exciting, because we get to celebrate all different kinds of stories in our library. I actually work in an expeditionary learning school, and people always ask, what is expeditionary learning? So expeditionary learning, we have a very collaborative learning environment, and students engage in expeditions. So the expeditions might be 2 or 3 times a year, and there's usually these big guiding questions. And then every content class that they have has to connect to those big guiding questions. We're super project-based. We're super into hands-on learning and experts in field work. So that makes it really easy to embed myself into the classroom and into the curriculum as a librarian.
Oh, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That is so cool. Now I have to look up your school and look up some of that work, because that's so interesting. I can't even imagine all of the ways that they then have you collaborate, because I know that we're very project-based and very innovative at my school, and I never have a hard time finding ways that I can, help support them.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like too many opportunities. There's only one of me.
Yes.
But just so many things that I get excited about, because every Wednesday I go to the team meeting. So I shift through the grade team meetings. And it's just every meeting I leave with all these projects and things I want to do. And it's maybe I should, I don't know. It's too much sometimes.
I bet they love you.
Yeah, it's super exciting. When I show up to the meeting, they're like, "Oh, she's here." And I was like, "Oh,
that's awesome." I love that feeling too. That's one thing when I talk about collaboration, and when I think about how that happens over time, especially in that relationship piece. that makes it worth it when you can get to that point where they see you and they're like, "Oh, she's going to have something great like that she can help us with," other than like, what does she want now?
Yeah, it's fun. I love my school. This is my 9th year there.
Oh, that's awesome. It sounds like you're very lucky to be there. That's really great. So one thing too that I love, and one of the reasons that I asked you to come on, is I love all of your work around graphic novels and comics and manga. I just find it fascinating. And the thing that really stands out to me, even when I think about my own collection, because we have a great graphic novels, I feel like, collection, but the other two are things that I want to work on personally as a librarian. And so when did you start focusing on those topics within your library?
I think just right away when I became a librarian, I had started working in a private school in Manhattan, and it was a small library, super tiny collection. And they had this little shelf of graphic novels, comics, and manga, just like all mixed together on a little shelf. And then there was all these other books, but the kids would come in during lunch every day and just like aim for that little tiny shelf. I'm like, well, clearly I need to get more, but I don't really know a lot about graphic novels and comics and manga. I didn't grow up reading that. I grew up like reading adult horror fiction. So I got really excited about this and I wanted to learn everything I could. And then I actually started using YALSA's Great Graphic Novels for Teens list to just find, what was popular, what I should be checking out. And then I just started reading everything. And then I got addicted myself to that format, that medium. So I just started building the collection. And through that, I started thinking about how I can incorporate it into programs and activities. How can I bring it into the classroom? How can I share this new knowledge that I have with other librarians? So I started presenting at conferences. I started thinking about connecting it to the library standards. And then, the pandemic happened and all this work that I was doing was able to be brought online and to a larger group than just the people here in New York City. And I think that's really exciting. And that's where I'm at now. So.
Well, and listeners might be also thinking, like, I'm sure they've heard of graphic novels and comics, but manga. What is manga, and what's the value that we find in our libraries?
So manga are comics that originate from Japan. They're read right to left in the Japanese style. They're black and white, and kids love them. So there's a variety of reasons why we should support this, aside from bringing joy to kids. But we want to make sure that we're supporting literacy skills, visual literacy skills, art literacy, cultural literacy, and all that can be learned through manga. I also believe that manga supports the social emotional development of teens. It helps to build their emotional intelligence. I like to connect the work that I do with students in manga to Castle's 5 fundamentals of SEL. So if you're not familiar with them, they're self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. And I think manga is really helpful for teens because it connects to their stories, it connects to their experiences, it helps them to build compassion and tolerance and self-acceptance and self-empowerment. And it's just, they love to read it. So as an educator, as a librarian, I think we have to use that format, that medium, to help them grow.
Now, is it something that like they just will come to the library? Or you said something earlier about even finding ways to connect it to the curriculum and to the classrooms. I find that really fascinating and awesome too.
Yeah, so last year I had the amazing opportunity of teaching a manga course to 12th graders, and we called it Japanese Visual Storytelling. It was the best class. So it says me. I think the kids had a great experience too, because they were like, I'm sorry, we get to read manga as a class and get graded. This goes on our transcript. This is amazing. So we read a couple of manga titles and of course did the standard things, focus on literary devices, plot, conflict, character development. But we also did focus on social emotional learning. So we looked at the manga that we read and thought about how are the characters growing in these stories? What is impacting and supporting their growth? And then how does it help the reader to also grow? So it was a really nice way for students to see stories, reflect on stories, and think about their personal experiences, because manga shouldn't just be read in isolation. I think students should have the opportunity to discuss what they're reading and reflect and think about what they're reading.
I think that sounds just amazing. And I would love to see even like the books that you read. I'm sure that other people are also thinking the same thing. You know, like I know that you said that you would look at like the YALSA list and things, but if there's anything too that we can add to this podcast, like to give people, you know, your list of books or what you even did within your class, that'd be really great. Now my mind is like thinking of all these ways to connect that too.
Well, fun fact, a couple of fun facts. I do have a website, mangaandlibraries.com, because I was getting, as a librarian, so I'm also the Japanese culture and manga special collections librarian, or cooperative collection development librarian for the New York City Department of Ed. And I receive frequently lots of questions about manga. And then, of course, during the pandemic, when everything went online, I'm like, well, this is a perfect opportunity for me to start, you know, maybe creating some online content, reaching out to people across the country. So I started hosting webinars. So at this point, we have 12 webinars, which are on the website, mangaandlibraries.com. And they focus on different topics like disability, visibility in manga, BIPOC representation in manga, all sorts of topics, social emotional learning in manga. And each webinar is a bunch of experts from across the country with different backgrounds, different experiences that share. We talk about like 6 or 7 different questions. And we also create a resource list and a book list that connects to that topic. So all that's online for people to see. Also, I started hosting conference panels and presentations. So we just did some at New York Comic Con. We have some coming up at Anime NYC. And I'm doing workshops now, 3-hour workshops. My first one is actually this Friday at the YALSA Symposium. And these workshops, I'm really excited about Friday's workshop. There's 75 librarians that registered for this workshop.
Great.
School librarians, public librarians. We're going to talk about Manga 101, manga and social emotional learning, manga programs, collection development. It's interactive. It's exciting. Kodansha and Yen Press, 2 manga publishers, are actually sponsoring the workshop. So there's free manga for everyone who attends. Everybody loves free stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds so great. And you have a really big like project coming out soon too.
I do. Can I talk about that?
Of course you can.
Yeah, so I do have a book coming out in April. It's Manga in Libraries. So Shannon, earlier you had mentioned you would like to know more about that Japanese visual storytelling class. Well, there is a chapter about teaching with manga in the book. So you can learn all about the curriculum that I designed, the titles that I used, questions that I asked, things that we did. And there's 8 chapters in the book, I think. On the website, there is a page that has a description of all the chapters. But we don't have any sort of cover reveal yet or pre-orders, because that's going to be revealed at ALA's LibLearn X in January. We're going to do like a big book reveal.
That is awesome. You're like the expert in all things about this, and I just love it. Well, and the really cool thing is you also just won some awards too. And you should talk about that.
I do want to say that the book comes out in April. And
good.
I didn't mean to backpedal on the question, but the book comes out in April. And I purposefully picked April, even though I wrote the book over the summer, because April is School Library Month. Yay.
Oh, that's awesome.
And also it is the 2-year anniversary of when I started Manga in Libraries. So I started in April 2021.
Oh, that is so great. Congrats to you. That's a big undertaking, and that, I mean, what a wonderful topic. And I'm sure that in your book, it's just like how you are so excited about everything. And so I can't even wait to read that. That's awesome.
It'll be fun. I can't wait to see it. So I actually saw the book covers the other day. We can't reveal the book covers to the public yet, but They were so gorgeous. I don't know how I was able to pick. They gave me 4 options. I was crying over the beauty of all of them. And it just felt really rewarding because writing a book is not easy. And to see that you've actually accomplished something that you set your mind to, it's really,
Well,
I can't explain.
And I think about like the things like, we've been through a pandemic and things that, having us take a pause and some of the things that we've been able to reflect on. And I know that I've had personal projects, and this is neat because you've had that time to reflect and really put your heart and soul into it. And so we can't wait. Congrats. That's so exciting. I love it. So now you have to share the awards.
Yeah, last year was a busy year for me. I was doing a million things, but manga was always, there too as my big project. So I won the ALA Scholastic Library Publishing Award, and that was for, I'm going to read, quote, what the award is for, because anybody can apply for it. Anybody who's a member of ALA that's a librarian or a library worker. So it's for a librarian whose unusual contribution to the stimulation and guidance of reading by young people exemplifies outstanding achievement in the profession. So I received that, of course, for the work that I'm doing with manga and libraries, the work I do at my school, the work I do for the New York City Department of Ed. And I also got an AASL grant, the Inspire Collection Development Grant for manga and social emotional learning. And that also, if you're an AASL member, you can apply. And I received $5,000 from AASL to build a manga collection that aligns to social emotional learning. So I used Castle's fundamentals. And it also gave me funding to build an SEL collection of nonfiction books for students. So not just the manga, but books to support them.
Oh, that's wonderful. How amazing.
Yeah. Oh, and I was a library journal mover and shaker.
Yeah, you were. I was glad that you joined that little club. So that is so great. I love reading about you in there.
It was super fun. I was really excited. I felt like really proud of all the work that I was doing. And they called me the Manga Maven, which is also just a cool name in general.
Very cool name. I love it.
I don't go by that, but maybe I should. I don't know.
Oh, it's so fun to be able, I think, as librarians to find like that niche that we have. That's one thing that I'm always really grateful for as a librarian, that we get to do things that we're passionate about and share that with our students. And I think that's the thing that really makes librarians shine in all these unique ways. And so I just appreciate your story and appreciate like the inspiration that you give to others in that way, because it's what we all need in the world, not only our students, but all of us too.
Yeah, I really love the work that I do at my school and with my students. And I've definitely built relationships with kids through manga. I think that obviously the most checked out, book in the library right now is manga. Grades 6 through 12. I'm seeing more high schoolers read more than ever. I don't know if that's because of manga, because of the manga boom, because a lot of kids were watching anime during the pandemic, during lockdown, but it's exciting. And then when they find out that I read manga and I'm excited about talking about manga, they get super excited. So it just builds this relationship that I might not have had otherwise. So
yeah, that is really great. Now I want to come visit your library.
Oh, yes, please.
I just love it. And I can't wait for your book and all the things. And like you said before, just share again where they can find your website and where they can find you online, because I know people are going to want to know.
Mangaandlibraries.com. And then if you want to email me, it's mangaandlibraries@gmail.com. And I only have Twitter right now. And I'm at JR Librarian. So Jillian Rudes, JR Librarian. Or you can follow the hashtag read manga.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm so excited and happy that you joined me today. And I can't wait to continue to follow you and to read your book and just appreciate everything that you've shared. You're amazing.
Thank you. And maybe I'll see you one day at a workshop, at a Manga and Libraries workshop.
I am when you were talking about it, I'm like, I am totally going to find one of those to come to. And I'm in New York a lot, so I could easily find a place to go to come.
Well, actually, I'm traveling across the country this year, so I have dates already set for 2023 in different states. So I'm kind of on tour.
Okay, I'm gonna
I'm
look.
on tour librarian right now. It's exciting.
I love it. I'm gonna look at where you're at. I think that's so great. Oh,
Yeah, it'll all be on the website. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and we just appreciate everything that you shared. Like she said, you're going to be able to find her information by listening to what she shared in the podcast, but we'll also make sure to include it in the notes, along with a certificate of professional development that you can download and fill out to use. As always, thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Future Ready Librarian podcast series, Leading from the Library, and a very special thank you to our sponsors, Follett. You make a difference in our libraries, schools, and within our lives and that of our students every day. We appreciate everything that you do. I hope you can take what you learned in today's podcast and put it to use within your practice as a future-ready librarian. Until next time, friends, keep finding ways to lead within and from your library.